Everyone wants to take their business, their skills, to the next level. Small and mid-sized business owners have exceptional insight into how to do this. They endure and thrive because they find ways to overcome the challenges that come their way, and they can teach us valuable lessons to apply to our own companies and lives. Stephen Nooner, founder and owner of Alkali, a company with a unique process that helps businesses more effectively buy and manage their insurance programs. And Bob Gibbons, builder of Riata Commercial Realty, a real estate advisor and tenant advocate, are two prominent Metroplex businessmen who, along with their weekly guests, will ask their and your probing questions, finding impactful solutions that will help you reach for the next level. Here are your hosts, Stephen Nooner and Bob Gibbons.
Welcome to The Next Level, Conversations that Propel Business. This is your host, Bob Gibbons.
I'm your other host, Stephen Nooner, the better host.
Today.
I'm not a real estate professional.
All right, no inside jokes on the radio.
All right, so I'm happy to introduce my new friend. Steve Kinder is here with us. He is the founder and CEO of LOFTwall. LOFTwall manufactures room dividers and privacy partition solutions for commercial, office, education, healthcare, and residential spaces. To learn more about Steve, please visit loftwall.com. Welcome, Steve.
Hey, thanks, Bob. Thanks, Steve.
And that's Loft as an L-O-F-T.
L-O-F-T-W-A-L-L, yes.
Very nice. Stephen likes to spell,
Yeah.
but sometimes he's a little shy, so we have to help him over that.
No worries, no worries.
Loft and wall are pretty tough for me.
Yeah, but when you put them together.
They can be. You'd be surprised. When you say it over a phone, you'd be surprised what people say sometimes.
I bet that's true. So we always like to start off with sort of wisdom of others, and so you gave us a quote from Steve Jobs.
I sure did.
And it said, everything around you that you call life was made up by people that were no smarter than you. And you can change it, you can influence it, you can build your own things that other people can use.
Yes.
Why is that important to you?
I really believe that each of us individually are, we go through our own kind of path or journey in life. We go through education, we get our first job, we grow up in a community of people that kind of mold who we become, and then we get out into life, and sometimes we see opportunities, and I feel like everybody can be an entrepreneur, and really the success of each of our own ventures comes in us finding that culmination of our experiences, our backgrounds, our interests, and figuring out how to turn that into an entrepreneurial venture to start a business or make a change. So, yeah.
The simplicity of it is what I liked, that anything that you see that people need is a business. You just need to figure out how to make it and deliver it to them.
Exactly.
It seems so much more complicated, right?
I thought it was a quote from the Matrix or something. Right? First, you have to realize you're part of the Matrix before you.
Yeah, there is a Matrix in there somewhere, I think.
I've seen parts of that.
You have to take the pill.
Do you?
Yes.
I'm not going to ask what's in that pill.
There's a blue pill and a red pill. Or so.
That's how it goes. Bob does not watch movies.
I do, just not apparently the same ones you do.
Yeah, evidently not. So tell us a little bit about LOFTwall. Specifically, how you got into the business to begin with.
Yeah, so my background is I was educated. I went to Rhode Island School of Design. I studied industrial design, which is basically designing everything from furniture to products to telecom equipment or anything that kind of goes into an industrialized environment. But I also learned a lot about graphic design and architecture. And I got out of college and I went to work in the event industry and learned a lot about kind of modular systems, doing trade shows and convention work. And then ultimately, years later, would start my own business doing event environments and trade show displays, and learned a lot about modular things that connect. And it really appealed to me. And then, kind of in that evolution of things, we were making some products for our clients, and we kind of stumbled upon this opportunity to make, I kind of saw this open office kind of craze coming probably 10 or 15 years ago, and just thought, hey, we could make walls out of some of this stuff and customize it, make it unique. We could add colors and finishes. We can put imagery. We can put logos and stuff on it, and it can become kind of a product that could fit a unique niche in the office marketplace. So that's kind of where it kind of evolved out of. We had some clients that asked for those types of solutions. And at the same time, we also, there's a lot of urban development around Dallas with lofts, and we had some people who just needed partitions for their offices. And that's kind of where the name LOFTwall came from. They were kind of asking for, hey, I just have this open space. I need some walls, but the landlord won't let me build anything permanent. What can I put in my space to kind of give me some privacy? Or
was there nothing like Nothing like that already on the
No,
market?
no, there really wasn't anything like that on the market in the.
I mean, the systems furniture people, Steelcases, Hahn, et cetera, they didn't have anything like that?
No, not really. I mean, mostly you got to remember this was kind of in the 2005, 2008 range, and most of them were still kind of in that cubicle world, right?
Yeah.
Where the cubicles, which are now very quickly going away, and we're going to kind of like an open office plan with different types of open workstations that aren't considered cubicles anymore. But yeah, most of them didn't really. I think they were more focused on larger systems and understanding that industry. They see a partition as kind of an ancillary product that really isn't something they're going to put a lot of time and energy into. So
I noticed one of your segments is healthcare,
yes,
right, and HIPAA and privacy. What kind of privacy can you get with a wall? I mean, that type of design.
Absolutely. Well, I think you get obviously you get visual privacy.
Sure.
You can get acoustical privacy as well because you can put different types of materials and acoustical absorbing materials on the walls. So that's something that helps. Anytime you put any kind of barrier up between you and another area, either for function or aesthetic or for privacy, you gain kind of a mental
Sure.
kind of psychological barrier there too that helps people, especially if you're getting a medical procedure or you're in an environment where you don't, where you're sometimes there's people coughing, you're in a sick environment. So we see our product go into healthcare environments very often for that. Yeah.
So when I was looking at some of the varied designs you had on your website, I was kind of got to thinking, like, is there a future like where people don't even hardly design any? I mean, they just build out a shell open space and then use your type of solution to.
It's already happening.
I believe it is and part of that is because the cost of construction is getting so expensive, the time and energy that goes into that, and just the ability to make spaces change. The dynamic nature of business where one day you might have 4 or 5 people, the next day you might have 10 or 12, but those people might be partially working from home or a co-work space or someplace else. Having that dynamic agile office space is becoming more of really a value proposition for businesses when they think about how they're designing their offices and accommodating the needs of their employees or workers. So,
is it typically more? You mentioned the build costs. I mean, is it your solution typically more efficient than building offices or any kind of or? It
can be. It just depends on the needs of the specific project or requirement or a client. I mean, certainly our products. If you do a 2,000 square foot office and you have to make 6 offices, you have to bring in a construction company, you have to bring in all these other types of trades. You build that, you put money in that, whether you do or your landlord does as a tenant improvement, somebody puts money into it. But when you leave that space, you can't take that stuff with you all of the times, versus our product you can take with you. It's easier to customize and change. So there's definitely some unique value propositions with that. And I think when you figure in the time and energy and resources and look at a long-term picture, we have a lot more value than maybe the traditional approach of thinking about how you build offices.
So what size company do you typically see as your customer buying your product?
It ranges everywhere from a small startup, might be a doctor's office, to we have done projects with the largest companies in the world in their offices, so high-tech companies, yeah.
And the reason I ask that is because you just alluded to what we call tenant improvements, the TIs, in a construction project and typically the tenant improvements are paid for by the landlord, or at least a big chunk of them are, if it's in a multi-tenant office building. And so the landlord will pay for that, but landlords will almost never pay for, quote, furniture, which would include systems furniture, anything that's not bolted to the wall. And that's where I've often see a problem with tenants not wanting to pay for a product like yours because they want the landlord to pay for it, and they won't.
Correct. But what it becomes is another unique negotiation point where it brings value to both parties, we think, because it makes the process easier for the landlord, and it brings value to the landlord and to the end user of the space. So you're right. It does, but it solves 2 problems, I think, one for each of the people on each side of the table.
Depending on how progressive that landlord is, and
it can.
Landlords are not known for that.
Yeah.
But I love your product, and in fact, I'm really glad you're here today because I've had clients that need this.
Yeah.
I'm a tenant rep.
Yeah.
I represent companies. So,
Yeah.
I've had clients that need this kind of product, and I didn't know LOFTwall existed, unfortunately. So now I know. I'm excited.
Well,
you're educated now, Bob.
There you go.
I love educating
that.
people.
So you saw this, kind of ahead of the curve. So let's play futurist here. 10 years from now, what do you see continuing to happen within workspaces?
Well, yeah, I mean, workspaces are really changing. A lot of it is, we hear this millennial term, and what's the impact of, there's some new kind of beliefs in kind of this more social work environment where, the pendulum has swung very much to open office, and it's going to come back to center a little bit more where people really have a greater awareness of privacy, and acoustical and minimizing distractions, because that's probably the biggest thing that's come out of the open office is distractions, whether they're acoustical, audible or visual or something similar. Those things are now starting to add up to have an impact on productivity in the office. There's lots of studies out there that say, for every 10 minutes, the average office worker in the open office is losing 1 minute to distractions. So, that's 10% of their time. And if you say, hey, that's a $50,000 employee, well, that $50,000 employee is losing $5,000 of productivity every year because they're working in open office with distractions. So to answer your question, I think it's going to stay open, but it is kind of coming back to where there is value within the open office with collaboration, awareness, reduced
culture, team.
Yeah, culture, teaming. But we just have to be smarter about it. So we think we'll continue to see these types of opportunities in the work environment. And just the nature of work, it's no longer that people are just sitting at one desk at a time. There's become much more of a social work environment. You can get up, you can go to a meeting space. So you have your first space, your second space, your third space, or your fourth space. You might have a lounge where you go and have a small talk or a dialogue with somebody. You might gather in a conference room to have a meeting on a project or a team or with a client. You might then go to the cafeteria or to a lounge or someplace to eat or have a coffee, and you'll do some work there because you can take your laptop or your pad. So.
And in fact, it's having an impact on the way buildings are being designed in the first place. If you go to Granite Park in Plano, for example, Granite Properties is a great landlord, and they've actually built in these common areas on the first floor of the building. So now it's almost like a co-working area available to anybody in the building or visitors or whatever. And it's a big open living room almost. In fact, I even think they call it the building's living room. And so they have these little collections of places that people can sit and talk, and they have free Wi-Fi, and it's really a cool thing. One thing I wanted to ask you though was when you started doing this, did you outsource the manufacturing of this and you were just the designer? Did you decide to manufacture it yourself?
Yeah. So my background was we decided to manufacture it ourselves, and predominantly 95 to 98% of the stuff we make is made here locally in the Dallas area.
With 75% recycled content too, right?
Correct, yeah. So a lot of the aluminum we buy comes from a recycled, when we extrude the aluminum, a lot of the source materials is from recycled industrial or consumer content, yeah.
Nice. So what's it like to become a manufacturer? That seems like a daunting task.
It is. In an age where, a lot of stuff is going offshore, it was definitely daunting. But the unique thing was what we realized is that everybody wanted to customize, wanted to make their product unique. And so you really can't do that by manufacturing offshore. You really have to.
Because it takes forever to get it to them.
It takes forever to get it. And then if there's something wrong or, you can't address it.
What's your average turnaround time? If I order something today, how long does it take to get to me?
Well, if it's just a small order of a couple things, it's probably 2 to 3, 4 business days if it's some of our standard stuff. If it's custom and you want to put a logo or make it a bright orange, it's probably a few weeks. So,
that's lightning fast.
Well, we're going to go to a break, but before we do, or when we get back, we're going to talk to Steve about a passion project of his and his passion for young entrepreneurs.
Cool.
Stick around.
And now, Confessions of a Recovering Landlord.
This is Bob Gibbons with Riata Commercial Realty, and I am your recovering landlord. After 20 years as a landlord, I now use that experience only for the benefit of companies that lease or buy office buildings and warehouses. Today's confession: knowledge is power. We all negotiate from a position of power and strength, or at least we want to. In any negotiation, the party with the most knowledge probably has the upper hand, and landlords count on this being the case whenever you're negotiating a lease, because most landlords are professional real estate investors and they hire professional leasing agents and property managers. Landlords are in the market every day negotiating leases, while tenants probably only negotiate 1, maybe 2 leases every few years. So tenants feel outgunned. Don't let landlords have all the power. As a former landlord for 20 years, I understand how landlords think and what motivates them. So let me put that knowledge and experience to work on your side of the negotiation. To learn more, contact me at TexasTenantRep.com. Again, that's TexasTenantRep.com.
Have you started making plans to take your business to the next level in 2016? Hi, I'm Stephen Nooner, founder and CEO of Alkali. We have a trademark process called the Empowered Advantage that enables CEOs, business owners, and entrepreneurs to more effectively buy and manage their insurance. Before sitting down to make your plans for the new year, here are just a few things to consider. Would you say that you have an actual insurance strategy, one that you can articulate, or have you just purchased a policy here and there over the years? If you have an insurance strategy, was it discussed under the pressure of a renewal deadline or considered earlier in the year to avoid fire drill decision making? If your answer was no to either of these questions, then you may not have the right partner on your team. Visit alkaliservices.com to contact us and take the next step to a bigger and better future.
Hi, I'm Corey Nooner with Alkali Benefits.
And this is Jan Gibbons with Riata Commercial Realty.
Tune in next week as we,
Jan,
and Corey,
hijack the show.
Welcome back, everyone, to The Next Level. We're here with our special guest, Steve Kinder, founder and CEO of LOFTwall. If you want to learn more about Steve or LOFTwall, please visit LOFTwall.com.
So, Steve, you're a serial entrepreneur.
I love cereal. It's good
cereal?
stuff.
Yeah. Checks.
Cocoa Puffs.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
Not the kind of cereal I was thinking
Oh,
of.
okay.
Think SERIAL.
Bob's a very literal person.
So I noticed you've created a few different companies.
Yes.
And one of the most recent I read about in the paper actually a few weeks ago, and it's called 1808.
Yes, 1808.
So that's a co-working space, co-working environment. Tell us about what you're doing and how you're differentiating, because there's a bunch of those coming along.
Oh, there absolutely is. You know, so 1808 is a destination for early stage businesses, startups, entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, people who want to create things and then want to collaborate with great people to bring them to reality and then to accelerate those ideas too. So creating, collaborating, and accelerating ideas is what 1808 is about. And you know, it's a community. It's a 60,000 square foot building that's going to have live work studios, co-work space, fitness space, cafe, a gallery space. It's really designed for people who want to be in a community of like-minded peers or individuals that are starting things, creating things, and trying to launch businesses or service those businesses.
Now that's very different than what I hear about other co-working spaces, because most of the time other co-working spaces I've seen, which are really cool places, they're really, membership kind of things where you go in and you work.
Yep.
And they're not really open to the public. They don't have a cafe. They don't have live work. I mean, live work, that blows me away. Tell us about that.
Absolutely. So we have about a dozen which are going to be kind of residential live work loft units. So they're about 600 to 700 square feet. They're going to be adjacent on the property, but they'll also have access to the co-work space as well. So it's just kind of, there's a lot of entrepreneurs that travel. There's a lot of startups that bring in like technology people or have a consultant come in that stays with them for 2 or 3 weeks. They need a place to crash. Staying in a hotel just isn't very symbiotic to kind of the startup environment. So the model that we wanted to pursue, that I wanted to pursue, is trying to combine that live work into kind of a co-work community and also a destination that supports small business. So
what's significant about 1808?
It's just a cool. It was just a cool address.
Is it the address of the building?
It's 1808 South Good Latimer.
I kind of thought it might be, but I just want to make sure I wasn't missing something.
It was just a destination address, so it just sounded good, and it just kind of worked.
It has
together.
a ring, yeah.
Is it open yet?
It will. We're in construction, and we're targeting to open the beginning of the year in January. So
excellent! I can't wait to see it.
And the co-work space is called Good Work. And that is a business that will be housed there. It's another, but it is a co-work space. And, the nice thing about Good Work is it's really going to be more focused on health, wellness, activity-based work styles. So a lot of different areas where people can co-work, collaborate, do things. We'll have a maker space and some other things as well. So, yeah.
Interesting. Steve and I share a client that has been a guest on the show, Haute Decor up in Allen, and they're considering having a maker space in their facility as well. So that's kind of an interesting idea.
Cool. Well, I mean, you're full of passion projects, and
I am.
One of the things that I wanted to talk about while we had you here, I met, for the audience, I'm in Entrepreneurs Organization with Steve, and he is chairing the committee for the Global Student Entrepreneurship Award. So
yes.
I've just, I haven't even talked to you about this, so just right here, why did you step up to volunteer and do that this year, and why are you so passionate about it?
Yeah, well, I think, when I was in college, I was freelancing. I was doing things on my own. I was trying to create ideas. My father was a business owner, entrepreneur, and so it was kind of in my blood, and I always kind of knew I was going to go that way. But there just wasn't a lot of resources. Even as I got out of college, got my first job, it was always in the back of my head I was going to start a business. And I joined Entrepreneurs Organization because it became a peer network group. And the rise of entrepreneurship over the last 20 years has become really, really substantial. I think in the last 20, there's been a 20-fold increase in entrepreneurship courses and curriculum at colleges and universities. So, there is a lot more awareness and focus on student entrepreneurship now.
Sure.
And, people go to business school and they come out with an entrepreneurship degree. So,
I have one.
Yeah. Oh, you do?
Yeah.
And there you go. It works. It works.
I'm one out of 100 that graduated with a degree that's actually doing it. But.
So, I think engaging the younger people who want to start businesses is really important. It's how I look at giving back. And so the Global Student Entrepreneurship Awards that EO does is a great opportunity to find those students, bring them under the wing, help them learn about their project, get them exposure, get them some funds and some money, and help them try to launch their ideas. And so, yes, we have the competition here in November, on November 29th, and we are currently looking for students, undergrad students that have an existing business. This isn't a pitch competition. It's actually for undergrad students that have an existing business they're operating.
Huge revenue requirements, I understand on that.
No, not huge revenue requirements. They only need to have about $500 in revenue over the last 6 months, or if they're starting the business and they've raised some capital, for just $1,000 in capital raised. They absolutely. If anyone would want to learn more, I would say go to gsea.org, and that's the website for GSEA. So
you're going to all the different schools, SMU, North Texas, UTD, all of them, and do they all have entrepreneur?
Pretty
degrees?
much. I would say, they do have entrepreneur. What's really interesting is a lot of the entrepreneurship schools teach entrepreneurship, right? But that's not always where the entrepreneurial-minded kids are. They're in studio art. They're in computer engineering. They're in mechanical engineering.
Yeah.
They're in music. There's actually, there's a lot of students out there with great business ideas, but they don't really know how to take the next step. And so we are working with an organization called Spur Startup here in Dallas, too, that helps college students crowdfund money to start and launch their ideas. So they're part of our partner this year with GSEA here in Dallas.
So can you say that somebody actually has a business if they've only got $500 in revenue? Is that a business?
I think so, if they consider it a business.
And for the purposes of what this is,
For a student.
You wouldn't believe some of the businesses that came out of last year. Just kind of I pulled some stats just because I knew we'd be talking about this. So there were over 1,700 competitors from 50 different countries last year. This is a big deal, right?
So this is a national thing?
This is
not just
international thing.
Oh, okay. I thought this was just
Dallas. This is local. This is the for students in this area to enter this competition, and then there's multiple rungs of competition all the way to international competition,
Gotcha.
which will be this year in Frankfurt, Germany. So the
Can I be a
international
judge?
finalists. Our radio show is going to have to become a lot bigger deal.
We're actually looking for judges.
I'll be a judge. We'll bring the winner onto the show. How's that?
That sounds great. And but yeah, in Frankfurt, Germany, in April, 1,700 competitors last year from 50 different countries. And like I said, the stuff you think, $500 or but the stuff some of these kids are thinking about, huge ideas.
Do you have any examples of some of the things that you saw last year or that you're expecting this year?
Oh, gosh. Yeah. We see everything from, we see technology, students that are creating apps to solve a problem or a need. Some of them are very social driven with social change and having impact in the community. Some of them are education based. Some of them are just simple products, some household product that you might need to solve a simple problem in your home. Last year's winner was an app that combined technology with medical technology so that it could take a test and tell you certain readings. I can't recall what it was exactly.
But is it essentially Dr. McCoy from Star Trek? Do you remember the tricorder reader? It's like that type of
Yeah.
play, right?
Oh yeah, yeah.
So, I mean, just cool, cutting edge, and these kids don't realize that they're in the Matrix.
Yeah.
But I mean, so the things that they're bringing to you, are they like half-baked ideas? Are they ideas? Or are they things that are actually already in practice, in use?
Well, the unique thing with EO is that they're student-run businesses, so they have to be established businesses. Like they have to actually
proven.
Well,
that
they have
work.
to start it, yeah. Versus other pitch competitions are, hey, I have this business plan, I want to pitch it to raise some money to start it. So this is actually for students who actually run businesses or have started a business.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's a little bit different. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, and so is this competition, is it open to the public, or is it EO members that will be the ones, invited and
No, it's
judging,
open
or-
to anybody.
So give us
it's a
the
free
dates
event.
again and where?
Yeah, it's November 29th, and it's at SMU Cox. In the Crow, room 175 is where the competition will take place. It starts at 6 p.m. on November 29th.
I love this kind of stuff. There used to be something called Venture Pitch here in Dallas,
Yes.
and I know there's a variety of these things, but I used to go to this Venture Pitch, and they would have 6 people get up and pitch their idea, and in some cases, as you say, it was still sort of in the idea stage. In other cases, it was actually earning some revenue already, and it was amazing to me what some people thought were ideas that people would actually pay for. Sometimes you're scratching your head like, I would never pay for that. And other times it's like, well, man, why didn't I think of this? It's so obvious now.
Yeah.
So, Steve, I mean, and for the audience, we'll go ahead and post on our social medias the time, dates, locations, and push all that as well for everyone. Go check it out. Steve, if we're going to sit together 3 years from now and we're going to look back to today, what do you see? What's next for you?
Well, I'm really passionate about helping other people. I love my purpose is to create environments that inspire others to pursue their dreams and passions. And so a lot of what I do, I really look at how I can have that impact in different ways, whether it's starting businesses or expanding businesses or helping other people with their businesses. I enjoy entrepreneurship. I enjoy helping others with their businesses. So my hope is that with my 1808 venture and good work, that we're going to hopefully get up and going here in Dallas and look at ways we can expand that to other parts of the country where that need can be served as well. So
Other hub cities?
yeah, other hub cities. Yeah.
Well, thanks so much for being our guest today. For our
Steve.
audience, Steve Kinder has been our guest. He is a serial entrepreneur in the cereal in the bowl type of entrepreneur. He's had LOFTwall. LOFTwall.com is his main company that we've been talking about today. 1808 is his new co-working environment. Exhibit Associates he started. Exit Management he started. So he's a serial entrepreneur. We're loving to talk to guys like you. If you want to know more, go to those websites. If you want to know more about our show, go to nextlevelshow.com.
Help spread the word. Both Steve and the Global Student Entrepreneurship Awards.
GSEA.org.
Yes, sir. Have a great week.
Bye.
Thanks, guys.
You have been listening to The Next Level, Conversations That Propel Business with Stephen Nooner and Bob Gibbons. Join us every Tuesday at 1:30 p.m. for more prolific conversations that will take your business to the next level.